joining today on Sunday Night Foodball. For tonight's matchup, we're going to have Kansas City and Baltimore. For Kansas City, I'm doing burnt ends. That's the best part of the brisket in my opinion. Really juicy, really flavorful, all the best stuff you want out of your beef. For Baltimore, we're going to do some crab legs. True Baltimore would be blue crab. That's hard to find in Kansas, so we're just going to do snow crab legs instead. Should be a good thing all the way around. We're going to be starting today with some burnt ends. What I've got here is a beef brisket point. You can buy the point separate from the rest of the brisket, or you can buy an entire brisket and separate the point and the flat yourself. Works either way. The point's going to be the fatty end, the juicy end. That's the part you want to use for burnt ends. Or sorry, the point. The flat is the part you want to use just for slices. So you got the point here. I'm going to season this just like I would a normal brisket. I've got my spice mix already made here. It's about 2 tablespoons each of salt and pepper, and about 1 tablespoon each of garlic and paprika. That ratio works pretty well for anything beef, so steaks, brisket, anything like that. All I've done with this after I bought it is trimmed off any areas of excess fat. You generally want quite a bit of fat on your burnt ends, but you don't want there to be just huge pockets where there's all fat in one place. You want a mix of meat and fat everywhere you go. I'm going to season this pretty liberally. Brisket's got a lot of flavor. It can handle some spice on it and still shine through nicely. Same thing on the other side. And I'm going to try to get every little surface I can coated. That way when I slice them into bites, all of them are going to have some of that flavor working its way through. Now that that's done, I'm going to let the meat sit for about 20 or 30 minutes before I throw it on the smoker. That's going to give time for some of that flavor to permeate, so it's not just the outer layers that are getting the flavor. I want those flavors working their way all the way through the entire slab. Got the brisket point here, ready to go. I'm going to get this on the smoker. It's still coming up to temperature a little bit. I just got the door closed and everything. So I'm going to be trying to run it about 250 to 275. Do that until it gets up to about 200 degrees internal. Then I'll cube it up and throw it back on. Starting with it on the top grate, I'm going to let it come up to temperature kind of slow, get a lot of good smoke, and then I'll finish it hot and fast once it's cut up into cubes. Got the brisket point up to about 200 degrees internal. See, it's got a good crust all around. Now it's time to cut it into the cubes for the burnt ends. I'm going to try to go about 1 inch all around. Just going to cut about an inch off, going horizontally here, and then I'll come back and get it the other way also. And at this point you have kind of a couple different ways you could do this. You can just cut them into cubes now and serve it that way. You can coat them with some sort of barbecue sauce, honey, something like that, sweeten it up a little bit and throw them back on. Or you can just throw them back on without any extra seasoning, which is what I'm going to do today. See, those are really, really juicy from where all that fat's rendered down. So I got the burnt ends on a wire rack back on the smoker to finish up for about another 20 or 30 minutes. At the same time as that's going on, I'm going to take care of my crab. Got some snow crab legs here. I melted up some butter and added some garlic and parsley. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of that all over the top before I throw it in the smoker. And then whatever's left in the bowl will be available for dipping as well. Doesn't take a lot here. I'm just trying to get a little bit of that flavor, get it started, get it on some of the clusters down there where it'll do more of a difference. And then I'm just going to throw these onto the smoker in the pan all together, and that's just going to have to go for about 20 or 30 minutes, just like the burn ends are going to be to finish cooking up. Burn ends and the crab legs were on for about 30 minutes after put everything back on. Thanks as always for joining. Hope you appreciated everything we did here. Hope you learned something. And thanks as always to my wife, Eva Least, for doing the video recording and the editing and everything like that.